Welcome to the Obstacle Dominator podcast, the show for athletes who want to become their best and inspire others in the process. Here we're going to dive deep into training tactics, race strategy, nutrition, mindset, and everything required to dominate the course and your life. Whether you're tackling your first race or already standing on podiums, this is where you can level up. There is always room for improvement, and it is time to push through those barriers and step it up a level, breaking both the physical and the mental walls to keep progressing. I'm your host, Matt Roberts, OCR athlete, coach, and guide to those committed to becoming healthier, happier, stronger, faster, to maximize their human potential now and always. I'll also be joined by the coaching team who are walking the walk, competing, staying current, and holding themselves to excellence. They are leading by example to inspire others to rise. We also bring on guest speakers who share real stories, real lessons, and proven methods that deliver results in performance, health, and mindset. Let us begin.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right.
Good, man. Finally in person. It's fucking weird.
I know. Mitch has just moved here from the Midlands and the west of the UK. So, yeah, this is his home. Under the clouds, there was a little bit of sunshine earlier. Actually, it's over there, which is quite nice to get a little bit of sunlight. So,
it's never doom and gloom.
Well, it is over Bury St Edmunds with the smog of the sugar beet factory. But actually, it's a really pleasant day. Like it's been really cold down on the track the past few weeks. Myself and Greg have been down here as well as with Sarah, and some of the sessions have been absolutely grim because it's just so cold. And we're actually going to do a lactate threshold training session after this as well. And there's some people starting to train on the track as well. You're famous. Yeah. So we've got someone running on the track. So what we're going to discuss today is physicality, and it's actually come from a lot of conversations we've had, and actually why we train the way that we do and live the lifestyle that we do, and how our sport of obstacle course racing actually ticks all those boxes and allows us to be the best that we can physically, and how that bleeds over into our mindset and other aspects of life as well. So we're going to talk about training, how we do it, why we do it, and talk about some real world stuff as well on top of that. So where do you think the best place to start is?
I believe let's start looking into the training aspect itself. So there's specific components that we train each week to gear us up for competition. Our competition normally starts for most people around May time, depending on the event that they're doing. But when we really break down the training that we do, it's actually balancing our nervous system throughout the entire week so that we can perform to a high standard as well. So you've got different types of running. So you're looking at your zone 2, you've got lactate threshold, you've got VO2 max, then you've also got strength training, grip training as well. And then if your body's conditioned for it, you then throw in a race simulation as well. But it's when you look at all of these components are what you face within a race, but also what you face on a day-to-day basis within the real world.
Sure. And on top of this as well, I mean, we've known this for some time, and this is why we apply our training and live the way that we do. But we're predominantly going to talk about the physical training, but I've had at least 3 clients over the past few weeks go, hey, I've heard this from this doctor, or I've heard this from this biohacker. We do this, but we just call it something different, or they call it something different. So not only what we're going to talk about is for physicality, for performance, it's also longevity. And OCR, after all the research I've done, it covers everything. And I can't think of anything else that does that, like even triathlon. I mean, it's heavily cardiovascular training, and clearly within the training you need to have strength components, powerlifting, CrossFit, maybe, depending on the dose, but nothing tests your mettle in terms of your physicality and your mindset. And this is another thing we spoke about as well, being out in the elements. Like if you do high rocks, you're doing it in an arena. If you're doing Deca, you're doing it in an arena. If you're doing CrossFit, typically you're doing it in an arena. So it's this blend of being outside and working on our physicality. But when you're outside, actually you're in an environment which is also very, very testing, whether that's you're in the desert or you're in the mountains or you're in the beautiful sunny UK, which actually has some of the worst weather from our personal experience, because we've been in the military, and yeah, when you're in some parts of the UK and you're out on the ground for weeks and weeks, it's pretty disgusting because it gets below zero, and it often rains and snows and whatever else. So from our standpoint, OCR really is this all-encompassing approach. When we look at it from a health standpoint and longevity, meaning humans having a long lifespan, grip correlated with longer lifespan, zone 2 training correlated with longer lifespan. Like, so 2 examples there. And obviously load bearing and balance, and exposure to the elements, all of these things are going to allow us to be healthy day to day and have energy, providing we do it in the right dose. And a big part of this is optimization, because from experience and conversations I have, a lot of people are doing a lot of training, but they're not breaking it down in such a way where they are touching on all of these areas. And OCR, like when you race, really is, you're going to have to run, which is the predominant thing humans have done, to whether that's to cross large land masses or to hunt or to survive, to get away, like during periods of hardship, enduring the elements like we spoke about. There's a lot to it, but really, like the grip, the swinging, the hanging, the balance work, the coordination, jumping up things, being able to climb, crawl, swim, hang, carry, like all applicable to day-to-day life. And if we look at the older generations now, lifestyle is a huge part of why people tend to deteriorate. And ultimately, when they get into the later years of life, they don't have as much purpose. Therefore, they sit around more. Therefore, they don't use their body. Therefore, they lose what they once had. But by doing the minimal effective dose and optimizing all of these different areas of fitness, actually we can live a long but healthy and productive lifestyle where actually we are strong. And balance is a huge part of that. And actually, through recently speaking to someone in the gym that was ex-military, they actually tore their ACL through turning too quickly. So not only are we working on how fast we can go and sustaining that pace, what happens when we jump off walls or quickly change direction quickly? Is a body able to deal with that as well? If you train OCR, yes, because you're constantly jumping up and over walls. But actually, we done a training session on Saturday, and as we was going round together on the race sim after the 90-minute easy run, we were saying, go easier, go easier. Why? Because if you jump off a 6 foot, 8 foot wall, the impact is going to be great. And like what we were saying is we need that, but we don't need too much of that. So yet again, it's optimizing what we're doing in that moment as well.
And I think being with the race sims as well, the race simulations aren't about thrashing yourself for 30 to 40 minutes at a time. What it's about is it's allowing you to tune into your body, where you are being tested with all components that Matt has just mentioned: balance, coordination, endurance, strength, power, body to weight ratio. All of these things matter. But if we were just thrashing ourselves, right, yeah, I'm just going to hit every obstacle hard instead of working on your technique, all that's going to happen is more niggles that's going to come off. You're more likely going to be out longer due to either landing funny or not gripping the right way. Like, all of these things matter. But then when you look at what you do in a race sim and then you look into the real world, balance for a prime example, what do most of us do each week? We go food shopping. We then have to carry the shopping bags either to the car, or some of us will walk them. Now, if you're off balance, you can end up potentially falling over because you haven't got the strength. It hasn't been built up. It's very unlikely that it will happen, but these are the things that we don't think about if we're not working on these areas. So it's always important to work on some type of movement. Like right now, like you always say it, prime example, if you're brushing your teeth, balance on your leg, like one leg right now, balance. If you started having a conversation, just balancing, if we carried on doing this for 2 to 3 minutes, your leg would start to ache. But how many people, or how many of you that are listening to this or watching this back, can you just stand here with one knee up, have a conversation, and remain focused, remain balanced, and also talk about the subject that you're doing? It's quite difficult, especially when it hasn't been trained as well. And then the strength side, going back to the strength side, and it's something I see often, is if you're not training for a competition, like a bodybuilder competition, you don't need to be doing bro splits 5 times a week in the gym. You don't need to be doing chest one day, back the other day, shoulders the next, because of the components that you need to work on to either race in OCR. That doesn't mean if you want to compete at elite, like to hit the basics, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or elite, you want to have specific structure towards that specific event. If you're smashing yourself in the gym 5 times a week, that's not going to gear you up for an OCR event.
Yeah, right on. Everything we do must have a target and therefore a desired outcome. And a lot of us, and I speak from experience actually, like I used to just train for aesthetics. Yeah, but I wasn't the fittest I was going to be. But when I changed my lifestyle and got more specific with my training, that led me to improvement and more progress. And then here I am now, and every single training session I do is very, very targeted, but also very optimized. And speaking to Greg about this, who was on the track with me, and I'm going to release a video about him talking about the past sort of couple of months of coming back from an injury, which really was an overuse injury, because he was overreaching, and that stemmed from a race to start with. So too much volume, too much intensity all at once. So really, everything we do needs to be calculated and optimized. And basically, we don't want to be doing too much, too soon, too frequently, and certainly at the wrong intensity. And I always say to the guys, it's like, I'm not interested in how much you can do. I'm interested in how little you can do and how well you can do at that. So it's the optimization. I never tell any of my guys to do more. It's like, that's what I said to Greg. He's like, when do I ever tell you to do more? He's like, oh yeah, shit, never. Because I don't. And what I'm really, really exercising with my own training, I think I'm on week 11 now. We're on Monday, and I'm going into a deload week of my 3rd month of training, and I'm fresh. Yeah, I've been doing. I'll elaborate on all the training sessions, but I've got one more training block after this deload, which is 3 weeks long, before a week deload and 2 weeks taper before a 5K race, and I'm fresh. Yeah, there's been times within the training where I've been a little bit sore, i.e. if I've done a lactate threshold session, then a strength session the following day, then VO2 max, and then do my long run. But then I'm balancing that stress by optimizing the training sessions. An example, like what we were saying, when we're jumping down from walls, don't jump down super hard. There's no gain to that. You're just going to accrue more fatigue through more impact. So it's optimize. And if you optimize in one area, that will positively impact other areas. And then with a long, lengthy rest period of 48 to 72 hours between sessions, so if Saturday, finish in the morning, by Sunday, that's 24 hours. Another 24 hours, you're looking at like 2.5 days worth of recovery. And here I am about to go and do a lactate threshold training session and feel really good. And also, I don't really have to do much today. I've only got like 15 minutes of the main session. Easy. So
15 minutes?
Yeah,
what?
That's it.
Is that it? No, you can't be right. 15 minutes. See, straight away, I know there's going to be people listening back. You would have heard Matt say he's doing 15 minutes of training, and straight away your minds are going to go, what? 15 minutes? Now, you need to understand, and this is where research comes in, balance and structure within your training. You need to be optimal with your training. There's no point you going, I'm going to go smash myself on a run for 60 to 90 minutes at threshold. One, it's not sustainable. 2, you're going to get injured very quickly. And 3, you are going to burn out, hit a plateau, and then that'll be it. You're then going to have to recover a lot longer. Whereas if you're applying the minimal effective dose, 15 minutes on a deload week, that is going to be sustainable. Now, the one thing that people tend to not realize, or it's not spoken about as much, is how your nervous system responds to this type of training as well. If you think about it, if you're doing HIIT training every single day, 5 times a week, your nervous system is going to be in fight or flight. Now, we need our nervous system to be in a stress state. It is good. But when you are constantly in a stressed state and you're not getting that rest and digest within your training system, you're not recovering properly, that then impacts your future training sessions. And then that leads to injuries. And then you just end up going down this massive spiral as well. So yeah, 15 minutes is actually enough when you work in the correct zones, when you work in the correct intensity as well, especially for a deload week. But that's where Matt is at as well. This is another thing with your training. How myself and Matt train is very similar because we know exactly near enough where we're at. But someone that's just getting started, we wouldn't have them training, or we wouldn't have them doing the same sessions that we do because their body is not used to it. They need to build up to it. Okay. So if you are starting OCR training, slowly build up. Don't just go, right, these are doing this, so it must be good for me. Yes, eventually it will be good for you, but if your body is not conditioned towards it, then it's going to have a serious impact on your performance and health, which is not what you want.
Yeah. And this is really touching on the stress-rest balance. So deload weeks are less volume, less intensity to allow the body to recover from previous week's training. For me, still the same intensity, just less volume. So I'm still hitting the same training stimuluses so that I'm not regressing, but I'm also giving myself grace so that my body, my nervous system can recover and therefore adapt from the previous training blocks. A taper is slightly different, but we're not going to go into that now. But the main thing here is, like, if we are stressing the body, which training is, it's acute stress in the moment. We need to make sure that there's time for rest and recovery after that, and being intuitive. And this is another thing as well, athletes following the program like to the T, but actually that being to their detriment because the body is not ready. So this is where the intuition comes in, where we're flexible and adaptable and we listen to the signs and symptoms of our body and swap and change training sessions around. The thing I'm going to go over briefly is just like my overall training structure and then tell you why it's that way. But like Mitch said, don't go, oh, Matt's doing this, so copy exactly the workouts I'm doing, because the volume will be different to what you need. Your level of conditioning will be different. The paces that I aim for, the strength training and why, all specific to me. But when we're talking about a performance program, and when we're talking about a longevity program, yes, 2 independent things, but I'm not just training for performance. I'm actually focusing a lot on my day-to-day energy and my health. And the reasons for that is if I needed to pick up my kids and run, or I needed to get myself out of a difficult situation, I know that I could, I could go very far doing that. And that mixed with like combat sports as well, you can be pretty handy. But the body has a bunch of energy systems within it. Okay, we've got the nervous system, which is more global, and there's certain aspects of training where we will be training the nervous system, we'll be training the body and the brain, so things like the balance work, the rope, their overall coordination. And then we're looking at the muscles and the bones and the elasticity of the connective tissue as well. And this comes from the plyometric training. That comes from the strength training, but in small doses. So when we look at my overall training, not only am I doing different intensities of cardiovascular training, the zone 2, the lactate threshold training, the VO2 max, and VO2 max being another thing that is correlated. The higher your VO2 max, the longer your lifespan. Check out Dr. Peter Attia's work. He speaks a lot about this. And then the strength training, more muscle mass, longevity, lower body fat percentage, better health, more energy. less toxic state. Okay. And then the balance work, the coordination work. Most people in later life deteriorate from a fall, and it is honestly like it's shocking. Like, and do this as a simple practice without judgment of other people, come from a place of love. But when you look around at the elderly, they are very, very weak and frail. Even people in their 60s, I look at people around me in their 60s and they're all wobbly and overweight, and it's like, that is years and years of living incompatibly with human health, eating a lot of vegetable oils and a lot of sugar, and not moving the body in the way that we're meant to. Yet again, OCR offers that. It doesn't mean you go and compete at the top level. Get outside and move your body in a multitude of different ways, and that is what OCR does. It allows us to do all of these different patterns of movement, test our body and mind. And if we were to do more of that, people would be a lot more healthy, and actually that'll put less strain on the health system as well, because people are taking responsibility and ownership. And we all know what is good and what is bad to an extent with food and lifestyle and training, but for some reason we can reinforce failure and ultimately self-sabotage. What I do in my training is minimal effective dose training. So I have a couple of days of zone 2, I have 1 day of VO2 max. On a fortnightly period, I'll have some sprints, I will have balance work in there, I will have strength work in there, I'll have grip work in it for not only grip but also shoulders. I'll have flexibility, mobility exercises, I have meditation, which is for the body and the mind, I have breath work. All right, it seems like a lot, but that's why it's minimal effective dose training. So over a 6-7 day week, there's small doses, and like we're just saying, I'm doing 15 minutes of my main session today. I'm not doing an hour. Why? Because I've got other shit to do, that builds me up. But actually, this last training block, since I've done the Trifecta World Championships in West Virginia, like, I'm about to be at peak fitness, more so than I ever been, like, within this next training block. And then once I've done this 5K race, I've then got another 4.5 months before I go and compete at Spartan, which is basically the same as what I've done. I'm just faster and better, all by doing small doses of training within each area to make sure that I am as optimized as I can be as a human being. And I feel good for it. So, yeah, what I'm saying is basically you can have the same, but if we're investing too much time into the strength, or we're spending too much time running, it's going to take away from something somewhere else. So it's about understanding why we do what we do, which is massively important. Having a target to aim towards, specifically for that training session, but bigger picture as well, so that we're always creating forward momentum. And it's not always about doing more, it's about doing things as consistently as possible. And actually, me and Mitch sat down yesterday and was optimizing his training even more. And it's like, okay, what's the first thing we need to do? Well, we need to understand exactly where we're at. Okay, great. Why do we need to understand where we're at? Because we want to go over here. Okay, and that's a 4-year goal. Okay, so now we understand where we are and where we want to go. We've got to bridge that gap. So we need to assess, and we need to understand what we're doing within these particular training sessions to get him here, and then eventually reassess, and then to get him here and here and here. But a lot of people are only looking 6 weeks in advance or a couple of months in advance. And personally, I think that's the wrong approach to take, and it doesn't maximize your results here and now. It certainly doesn't make you feel good when you're battering yourself before a race. Yeah, so it's the maintenance of momentum, keeping moving forward. And another thing as well, I'm pretty much, so even though I've done minimal effective dose training now, I'm at, over this training period, I've increased the minimal effective dose because my body has become more conditioned, but I don't need to increase anymore. At the end of this week, everything is maxed out on my minimal effective dose, and we'll find out more when I do the assessments over the next couple of days if I need to actually optimize and back off, not do more. I know that I don't need to do more because I'm progressing, but a slight tweak might be do less. And then that's about it.
Nice tangent right there. Yeah, so I believe it's good to have like a 2 to 3 month goal, like have something to work towards, but that shouldn't just be it, Because if you go, right, I'm going to achieve this in 3 months and then stop, that's it. You end up getting complacent. You've achieved something small, but you haven't even achieved this snippet of what you can achieve as well. And that's where looking at long-term goals, and this is another topic for another day, that really matters, getting specific. For myself, I've had some crazy ideas and crazy goals, and we've had to really sit down and look at them, and it's like looking at all the logistics, costs, the energy, the time, everything going into it. Is it actually worth it as well? Because you know what you can push your body through, but how much time is that going to take away from, one, your health and your longevity, but two, performance, if you've got different goals that you want to achieve as well. I mean, strength training, a lot of people will strength train 4 to 5 times a week. I've already mentioned this. For myself, I only train once a week and my session is 30 minutes long. That is literally it, hitting the components. And then I have other sessions which have been added in to build on, but there's balance and structure throughout that week. And I think one thing a lot of people struggle with is having the structure and then also doing the same sessions week in, week out. Like, it's okay to do the same sessions for 4 to 8 weeks, then change it up, because that's where you're really going to see the progress. But if you're coming up to every session each week, right, I'm going to do something different here, different there, different here, all that's going to happen is you're not going to gain momentum. You may get fitter, you may get a little bit stronger, but to achieve the goals that you actually want, you're kind of just fucking winging it. And that's not what you want to be doing. To train OCR, and for those that don't know this, it is classed as an extreme sport as well. Okay, you do have to sign, I know you sign waivers within events, it is an extreme sport due to the terrain, the injuries that can seriously happen. I mean, we saw a few in Palmerton a few years ago, a couple of broken legs, Chris Freeman, for example. Chris, big up to you, man. You took that fall like an absolute champ, and you saw the impact. And then again, he was injured, but he came back. And the reason that he was able to bounce back from it was because of the structure with his training as well. So look at your training and look at where you're overdoing it. If you need to increase it a little bit, which probably most of you don't, you're probably already doing too much. And then also where you can fit in rest days. Now, talking about rest days for longevity and for optimal health, they are important. But again, and I know I've mentioned this before, rest days aren't sit on your ass, eat bonbons out your belly button all day. It's not that. Rest days are going for a walk, getting some stretch, some mobility in, stretching. If you've got the rope, doing some rope flow, doing some woodrooms, moving your body, but at a very low impact. That way you're not straining your nervous system, and then you are able to recover. So then when you hit your session the next day, you're ready to absolutely thrive, you're recovered, and you're ready to give it your all. Okay. So rest days are just as important. Now, I think we need to go into the real world as well with OCR training. I mean, one, the elements right now, we're outside. It's quite nice. Is it warm? No, but it's been better than most days. But if we look at most people on a day-to-day basis, they're inside for 90% of the time. They're not outdoors. They're not exposed to the cold. They're indoors with the heat all the time, and people are wondering why they're becoming ill, why they're becoming sick. And it's because there's no, again, balance within the accumulated heat from the indoors and then getting outside to the cold exposure as well. Our bodies were made to thrive, one, within the elements, we were built for it. Okay, but we live in a world where it's comfortable, and if you are comfortable, how much can you take when real life scenarios happen?
For sure. And this physical preparedness is essential for humans, and we should all be focusing on that largely, but from a very balanced place. I I witness a lot in the gym that I train in, especially at this time of year as well, with new year, new me, all these resolutions and remember last week, actually, I was on a treadmill and these people were absolutely slaying themselves. And I was like, wow, like how sustainable is that going to be? And then on another occasion, I was listening to some people talk about their sauna and cold therapy protocols. And they were like, yeah, so I train for an hour in the gym, then I come down here, I do 20 minutes in the sauna, then I do a minimum of 4 minutes in the cold plunge, then I'm back in the sauna. It's like, all of this is stress and none of this is really accounted for. It's like, where have you heard this from, and why are you choosing to do this to yourself, on top of probably staying up late? And mind you, this guy was very overweight as well, so that goes to show that he probably doesn't sleep particularly well, and he probably doesn't eat particularly well, probably has a very sedentary, high stress job at the same time, and maybe he's using that to make him feel better momentarily. But if we take that approach, stress is going to be increased. Yeah, it's not going to help reduce stress. It may make us feel better because we're going to be pumping out certain hormones, but it's certainly not sustainable. Therefore, it's not going to be beneficial. So yet again, minimal effective dose training. If actually he focused on getting to bed at a better time, switching off Netflix or whatever, actually when he wakes up the following morning, he's going to be in a better place to make better meal choices, and he's going to have more energy to train. And if he optimized the training, he'll get better results rather than sitting in a sauna dehydrating for 40 minutes and demineralizing. So just examples. And that's what we're saying with the training as well. If we're focused too much on the strength when we don't actually need it, it's too much stress on the body. And also it's taken away from other aspects as well. So on this as well, if this resonates and you're feeling already by listening to this that things are out of whack, like what we're actually offering is a race review audit or a training review audit. And I'll drop the link below to that as well. We offer a number of them free per month. So you can do that. And also you can get access to the OCR Skool where we're talking about more of this stuff as well. There's a massive need for it. And fuck, I wasted years and years and years and years. And two reflections, one from the military. No matter what I did with training, there was always inconsistency. I'd have 8 to 12 weeks where I could hit the gym and focus on my training, but then I'll do a deployment for months, and then that would unwind it, and I'll just get specifically fit to whatever I needed to do on that particular op or exercise. And then when I left, I still had the military mindset and just absolutely annihilated myself. I think I mentioned one of the fucking mental workouts I'd done to prepare for Spartan. It was run a mile hard, 30 burpees times 10. Fucking go for it. So if you want to give that one a go, if stress isn't high enough for you, feel free to do that one. But
yeah, go on, do it. I challenge you all right now. Do it. I'll do it with yous right now. And fastest. I don't know. I'll come up with a prize for the fastest who does it. If you throw up, it's bonus points as well.
So, I mean, reflecting on that, it's all out stupidity to do something like that, because it wasn't calculated. It was just more of a mindset thing. But that's much of what we used to do in the military. It's like pushing the body beyond what it can handle, really. And then going again and again and again, and that serves a purpose for that particular line of work. But we certainly shouldn't be doing that. And I certainly didn't perform the way that I wanted. I didn't look the way that I wanted. And I remember waking up at the end of the training week and just feeling completely inflamed and sore from head to toe. And yet again, those training approaches aren't sustainable. All right, so we don't advise doing that on top of an already stressful lifestyle. So yeah, that's it really. A couple of things. Yeah, and that's why it's important to get very specific, understand where you're at, understand where you want to go, and understand the components that you need in a very minimalistic way in order to take you to those outcomes and goals. And stop thinking in terms of weeks or months. Start thinking in terms of years and years and years. And this is what we get to do with our guys, is think about, like, where do you want to be at 50? Where do you want to be at 60? Like, not that I want to wish my life away, but I'm excited to see what we look like at 70. I'm excited to
fucking
see
what we shredded.
Look like 90.
Call me a gilf.
Because I know that what I'm doing right now is sustainable. And in fact, as I get older, I'm not going to do more and more and more and push the limits. actually I'm going to optimize further, which may mean that I'm doing more of the same, or I'm doing less, and life will change and I have different commitments and whatever else. But I'm creating great foundations for that right now, because if I miss a session, I'm like, so what? I could do it next week, do it the week afterwards. But providing we're doing the best that we can and striving for progress in each area, and that's what each session does. Each session targets a particular energy system, which improves a certain area, which gives you a certain outcome over many months, many years. And that's the other thing, consistency. Like I mentioned, I never really had true consistency. But the thing is, if you take a month off and then you get back on it, like many of us do at the end of the season, still consistency, because when you finish, you're at essentially peak at the end of the season. Then you take some time off, but when you start that new training block at the start of that year, you're actually a lot fitter than you were in the previous year. So
yeah, and I think one thing with this as well is you're being an inspiration for those around you, even though it may not feel like it, and even though people may not mention it as well. If you've got kids, one of the best things you can do is look after yourself. Like, take care of your health, prioritize your health, get your kids involved as well, because then that's teaching them to be healthy, strong, and look after the bodies when they get older. If you've got family members that are overweight, ill, regularly have sicknesses, and they're struggling and they see you doing well, that will inspire them. You may not see it, but you're inspiring someone out there that needs just that little bit of guidance or motivation, should we say. And that's important. Like, I remember when I first started training again, after like being off the rails for a couple of years, like how I wanted to change, like I wanted to. And this is the thing, you have to want it as well. If you don't want it and you're doing it for other people, which again, that's what I used to do with my goals. I wanted to prove people wrong. You have to want it for yourself. And when you want it for yourself, it becomes a lot more special and you actually put the work in even more for it. So, and this is going back to just looking at the goals that you have and looking at exactly what you want to achieve as well. Because I know there's goals that I've achieved that I'm so happy with, but I'm also a bit gutted that I did it to prove people wrong as well. I didn't do it for me. And a lot of the things that I'm doing now, especially with my training and my life, is for myself. And when you really do that and you prioritize yourself, you actually go a lot further as well. And you then, when you go further and you learn this information, you learn this knowledge, because we are constantly learning about training, looking to become better, stronger, fitter, like we always are. What happens if we get complacent is we go the opposite direction. Okay, we're not those type of people that, right, you need to be doing this, and once you've done this, that's it. We're constantly learning, we're constantly growing, and everyone should be. Okay, some of the best coaches in the world are doing that. They are constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly trying out new things. Okay, so make sure that if you are starting or you're halfway through your journey, well, not even halfway, you're at a point where you don't know where to go, look into the research, have a look into it, see what works for you, because there's going to be some sessions that work and some sessions that don't.
yeah, entirely. And the thoughts I was having then were, with the approach that we take, and when we have these spurts of motivation, when we feel really pumped up to do something, achieve a goal, whether it's a race or something aesthetically or a time of year or whatever that may be, often we commit to it too hard and do too much too soon, too frequently, at the wrong intensity. And that's problematic. And it would even be problematic for me if I started where I am going into next week 3 months ago. The sessions wouldn't be appealing, and I'll be like getting my shoes on, like, fuck, I don't want to fucking do this. All right. So minimal effective dose is not just about physically being able to do it, but mentally, how does that sit with you? Like, I could do another full training week this week, but actually I feel really good. It's like, I'm just doing 15 minutes of training today. Wicked. What else can I do? I feel great. It's appealing. Yeah, and we show up in a different way, and that's a huge part of it. If we have this internal resistance because we set the bar too high, how sustainable is that going to be? How consistent are you going to be over the long term? So the minimal effective dose training is super, super important for so many different things within physicality, but also that offers time and space for other things. At the moment, I'm playing guitar and learning to sing and working on Spanish and working on some other business plans and looking to move country, and the list goes on. I'm a father, and I have plenty of time to relax at the same time and spend time with friends. So you can have exactly the same when we optimize, but when we are putting too much effort into one particular area, we have to compromise. And with that sacrifice, we're not going to be optimizing as much as we could. Right. So this is just really encouraging you not to do less, but to just be more calculated with what you're doing and why. But physicality is the most accessible thing we can improve on, and that will help with our mindset. That will help with our relationships. It will just help with everything, really, the more physically capable we are. And it's super, super easy to do. It doesn't need to be this really complex, soul-crushing approach. And also it can be a lot of fun. And that's what we love about the sport as well, is we love being outside. We love training. We love moving our body. In fact, one of your favorite things is to move.
Absolutely. Like, I say it a lot, and you'll hear me say it a lot this year. Like, movement is powerful. Like, you've probably seen me on here, like, while Matt's been talking, I'm listening, but I'm like, just getting a fucking stretch and like just move. Like, these are the type of things that we can do. And it's like, I don't have time to stretch. Okay, right. While the burgers are cooking in the pan, I'm just going to fucking go left to right. So, like, do you know what I mean? This type of thing, movement is power. Movement is energy. A lot of people feel tired because they sit down all day, and then when they get home, instead of doing some sort of movement, whether it's going for a walk, stretching, or going to the gym to train, or going out for a run, they sit down even more. So then you've got this built up energy which isn't being used, and your body and your nervous system is screaming at you, fucking move. And then when you do move, for those that have felt it, it's like, right, I'm feeling tired, right, let's go move. You actually feel more energized by the end of it. Why? Because this is what the human body was made to do. We wasn't made to just sit down all day, look at a screen, and then watch TV shows and movies. We were made to move. And the more you tune into your body and the way it can move, especially as you get healthier, stronger, and fitter, you'll realize your body is capable of so much more. And all you want to do then is move. And then you have to rein it in, because it's like, fuck, I want to do more, but I shouldn't do more because I need that balance. And that's where it is. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, fuck, I want to do more. I want to keep moving. But I'm like, no, slow it down. But that doesn't mean, okay, the movement can't be walking, it can't be stretching, it can't be rope flow, or it can't be fucking skipping along the track. Do you know what I mean? There's so much that we can do, but then it brings joy out of you as well. I'm probably going to go off a topic a little bit here. We all have an inner child. What did we all used to do as kids? We used to go outside. We used to play. We used to climb trees. We used to walk, run, play knock door run. Like, we do all these things. But why does that stop as we get older? Because society says, fuck that. Get out and move. Get the kids involved. Build a fort with the kids instead of watching TV. Or, like, do you know what I mean? They're like, that's just an idea. I'm waffling on a little bit now. But there's so much that you can do when you move your body, and you will bring that energy to you instead of just sitting there. Oh, I'm tired. I can't do anything. Like, hype yourself up. Have a conversation with yourself, right? Get up, right? Let's go, right? I'm going to walk around the kitchen. I'm going to dance. I'm going to do a little swirl. Like, these are the things, okay? I've chatted shit enough there. Right, go on. Back to you, Matt.
I think on top of this as well, it's lifestyle and the choices that we make. Because going back to what Mitch was saying about our childhood, we were free, we had a lot of time, we could do what we wanted, would go and play. But what happens as we get older is we have commitments, and then our lifestyle takes a certain form. And with that, people can be a lot more sedentary. So what we've done very successfully over the years is construct our life around what we do, not the other way around. Not, hang on a minute, this is my lifestyle and now I've got to fit this in. So you could argue that it's a little bit easier, but actually I've had to shake off a lot of things previously to get to where I am now, and it's entirely possible for everyone. But movement is absolutely key. If you are not moving your body, you must. It's that simple. But we want to move it for the right reasons, and really that's energy, health, maybe the way that we look and the way that we feel and our levels of confidence. And OCR and movement offers this because of how dynamic it really is. So hopefully what we've achieved by talking about this is actually deeper meanings to why we do OCR rather than just chasing medals and looking the part. Okay, but the reason we stay single digit body fats all year round is because we move and we live in alignment with health, human health, and optimize. And it's effortless. Like, we don't have to think about it. I'm not weighing in every day. I'm not even weighing in every week. I haven't even weighed myself in about 6 weeks now because I don't need to. I'm not worried about that because I've spent many years formulating the habits in certain areas to keep me in the place that I am and keep me progressing in the areas that I want to. So yeah, again, it's optimization. Okay, so I just want to really summarize, and hopefully we've hit all of these as well. So we're not just talking about aesthetics. We're talking about optimal human living and extended lifespan and quality of life. And with that comes performance. Yeah, that's my ultimate goal. And I'm talking in tens of years, not just a couple of years ahead. And really laying the foundations now for future, but also understanding that being physically capable allows me to perform under pressure physically and mentally. Yeah, and also that keeps me safer, that keeps my family safer, that keeps my children safer, that keeps my family safer, all because of self-leadership and ownership and responsibility for me, my health. And if your life doesn't allow you to focus on you, your life, your body, then something needs to change there. And that's a hard truth, but I understand that it can be difficult. I spoke to a guy that was a lorry driver who's like, I want to be doing this, but I can't because I'm on the road for 12 hours and then I don't have the energy and I don't have the time. So here's the thing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And no doubt that guy in 5 years and 10 years time, he will still be doing the same thing because he's more concerned about making ends meet than actually his health, which is going to carry him the distance over tens and tens of years. So it's a big part of it. So self-leadership is a great quote we've got here. Weak bodies create hesitation. Strong bodies create options. Anything final to add?
Yeah, if you want to learn more, head over to the Skool community group. Okay, the link will be dropped in below. Head over to mine or Matt's Instagrams. The link is there as well. Okay, there's tons of value to be gained from this. Okay, you don't need to be a pro. You can be just starting off, or even if you just need some health and fitness advice, okay, drop us a message or join the group as well, because everything that we teach leads to that. Like Matt said, we focus on longevity. Yes, performance is key for myself and for himself. Okay, but if you're just focusing on health and fitness, then we can really help you with that as well. But like I said earlier, you've got to want it. Okay, and if I can give you one bit of advice today, get outside and fucking move.
Well, I hope you took some value, guys. I know there's a lot of information. But yeah, if you want some personal feedback based on where you're at, like I said, you can request a race readiness review over on the Skool group. Have a great day, guys. Peace.
That is it for today's episode of the Obstacle Dominator podcast. Thank you for listening. If you gained value from this episode or any others, all we simply ask is you share that with one other person. This one simple share could be the breakthrough that they need to get unstuck and start making progress again, and support more athletes to become healthier, happier, stronger, and faster human beings. If you feel called, please leave a review, tap the stars, give us a rating, head over to YouTube and subscribe, or just simply follow the show. These simple action steps go such a long way in helping us reach more athletes over time, and would love for you to be part of that. Proximity is power. If you are an athlete that's ready to take your performance up a level, then join us over on the OCR Skool. This is a community where you can surround yourself with the right people as you learn and as you rise. Learn from athletes who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, getting results, body and mind, everyone from first-time finishers to podium winners and champions. Until next time, keep training hard, keep living prepared, keep dominating the obstacles in life and in competition.